Welcome to the Scope. Hope you guys are doing good. Thanks for catching the replay. I love replay viewers. If you could just go ahead and tap those hearts, it's just as fun the second time around. And today we are talking about how long should your book be and why that's not quite the right question and what you should be thinking about instead. So we're going to be talking about how to expand your writing so that you're covering every topic that you need to cover in the book, and then how to contract and bring it all back down. Hey Jess, welcome, welcome. So as y'all are coming on in, welcome. Jumani's in here too. Y'all let me know who you are, especially if you're new, and where you're from and what you're writing. And Jess, I want to know, it is quiet in here today. Jess, I want to know how your writing is going. Have you been doing your free writing and all that fun stuff? How's your book coming along? Welcome. Louie, I just peeked in your profile. So today, let's dive into it. Oh, first, quick intro. You're not on that module yet. Oh, that's true. You're not really doing much writing yet. How's your mindset shift coming? And the extra credit reading. Are you reading the Stephen King book? So I recommended to Jess that she read Stephen King's You Have Been Free Writing. I think any day is good for free writing, whether you're technically writing on a book or not. Oh, yeah, good. I recommend to suggest that she read Stephen King's On Writing, which is his memoir, and it's fantastic. I love that book. I'm not even a fiction writer, but I just love seeing how Stephen King's kind of mind works. Oh, good, Jumani. You've been writing more frequently these days. I've forgotten your... So is your name, would you just say Juman, or would you say Jumani? Let me know. Awesome, awesome. So, how do you know how long your book should be? So this was, I actually wrote a whole blog post. Yay! All progress, Juman. Okay, thank you. All progress is good progress. And that's awesome. If you can write a blog post and it like gives you fodder for the book, like that is good. Efficient. So, kind of thinking back to the length of the book and how long it should be. So publishers used to be really concerned about the length of the book, right? So there were, well, and there still are, sort of standards about how long your book should be. So if it was nonfiction, your book should be between 50,000 and 70,000 words. If it was fiction, especially like your sort of typical literature genre, it would be between, hey Tracy, it would be between 75,000 and 100,000 words, typically. Of course, sci-fi and fantasy has always had sort of its own standards. They are much more likely to go into the 150 to 200,000 range. But anyway, so publishers used to be really concerned about keeping books within these particular word counts because they're running a system, right? They have certain people, a certain number of people staffed for each book. They have people who are doing layout and cover design. They are lining up printing and distributors way ahead of time. So they need to know a profit margin for each book. Jess says my Diana Gabaldon books are probably off the charts. Yeah, exactly. And so there is some wiggle room, but especially when publishers, yeah, exactly. Those are probably in the 200,000 plus words. George R.R. Martin's famous for his gigantic books as well, and his editor has had to wrestle with him on some of those. But if you think about it from the publisher perspective and you're mass printing these books and you have certain sort of costs that you're investing ahead of time, you need a target word count because you're like, well, we're going to have 8 people staffed on this book. Plus we have to do binding and paper and distribution. And so when they're looking at this whole system, they need each book to have a minimum and a maximum word count to ensure that, you know, the return on investment in each copy of each book is going to be worth it, you know, once they reach a certain threshold. So that's why most publishers really want you to be able to sell 2,500 books, because in their mind, when they're looking at your book project, they're like, okay, if this person can sell 2,500 copies of this book, which is 50,000 words, then, you know, they mark off like all the little costs along the way and they say, okay, we will reap this amount of profit. That's how it has typically worked, and that's why so much of, especially the old school, yeah, exactly, just the bean counters, the old school publishing people still focus a lot on sort of minimum, maximum word counts. But self-publishing and digital publishing and on-demand publishing has completely blown all of this out of the water. It doesn't matter that much anymore. Like, like I've had authors who come in and they say, well, I feel like my book really needs to be at least 50,000 words. It's like, well, maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. It costs you the exact same amount of money to get it, the cover design and published on Amazon. So that part is insignificant, right? How long the book is doesn't matter for that. Now, of course, your word count's going to affect editing and proofreading and formatting costs, but that even still is, in the grand scheme of things, fairly negligible, right? We are not lining up printing, manufacturing and binding and distributors. Like we're not worried about that stuff. We're only worried about editing, proofreading, formatting, and then the cover design and actual distribution is pretty, standard, set. It's free to put it up on Amazon. It's free to put it up on CreateSpace. And so it doesn't matter what the word count is. What I would recommend instead is that you concentrate on 2 phases of the writing process. The first phase, the first draft, is expansive. This is writing until you feel 100% complete, right? So this is every single paragraph, every single chapter, just write until you feel like you have exhausted the concept, explained everything. Exactly, Jess. Just throwing it all out there. Don't worry about being repetitive. Don't worry about being, too elaborative. Don't worry about putting in too many stories. Just expand as much as you possibly can for this book topic, right? I mean, if you're writing a book about gardening, we really don't need to go into like the Industrial Revolution, right? But within the book topic, expand as much as possible. And just don't even edit, don't cut anything out, just let it run on. Because then when you feel complete, you've said everything you want to say, then put a period on it, the end, you're going to go back and now you're going to start doing the revisions. And revisions are all about cutting, right? It's about finding the structure within your writing. It's about finding the themes, the most important parts, and then slashing. I know, Jess, ouch, it hurts. And Tracy has been through this a couple times with some of her drafts. And we were over like 20 or 25,000 words, and then we slashed down to like 16, and then we put some more back in, but it was definitely, probably, I'm sure Tracy would say, a little bit painful to go through and just like cut. But that's how you get down to the most concise. Oh, now it's 18,900. Yeah, that's true. So we did go back and add some back in. But that process of going, and usually you cut between, I would say 2/3 to, no, vice versa. You cut between 1/3 and 1/4 of the book out in this editing process, usually. So if you have a 50,000 word book, you should be willing to cut out at least 10 or 15,000 words, because that might be what it takes. I want a book spine. Yes, and I don't know if I told you this, Tracy, but I did get confirmation that they are fairly confident that it will have a book spine without any other necessary adjustments. Save it for later. I don't know, Jess, it depends on if you're a hoarder. I mean, you can, but honestly, exactly, Jess, Tracy and I totally agree with that if you're going to print a book, do whatever it takes to make sure it has a spine with your name on it in the title. But honestly, even if you cut stuff out, you can put it, with most authors, we have a little like Word document that's called cutouts, and we put it in there, and you can go back and read it later if you want. But honestly, it's in your brain. It's not like you're going to forget. Joanne's cleaning you up and you're throwing everything away. I'm actually going through the same thing. We are about to move, and I'm throwing away and giving away so much stuff. It's incredible. So you're not a hoarder? Jess, does that mean you're a hoarder or you're not a hoarder? You put so much in your brain. Yes, but it's there. Okay, if it makes you feel better, create a new document. Everything that you slice out, put in that new document, and you can always go back to it later. The problem is, 10 years down the road, you're gonna have like an entire hard drive full of like random ideas. You can put them safely in a Word document. You might just never look at them again. So that's totally up to you. Lots of people feel safer doing that. The outtakes, yeah. Honestly, chances are you're rarely going to revisit those. Maybe it's worthwhile, maybe it's not. It's like the people who, hello, Jersey. Haha, that's funny. So some people have like closets full of old journals and old scrapbooks, and like that makes them feel comfortable and happy, go for it. Keep a hard drive of your old cutouts. That's totally fine. Just don't make yourself feel guilty. If you never use them again, you never use them again. I mean, that's part of the creative process, is you are like creating new things every day. You're pulling them out of your brain and you're making them new and fresh. So it's kind of hard to go back and revisit. I even have old blog post ideas that I've had in my Scrivener for like months. They're just not as exciting. So, alrighty, Jersey, you get one more chance. We're nice in this scope, okay? But yes, so publishing, we used to be really concerned about the word count. Now the word count doesn't really matter as much. What readers care about most is that you are really clear about what the purpose of your book is, how your book is going to help them. Oh, thanks, Jess. Appreciate you looking out for me. You never know. Sometimes people are trolls and sometimes they just have bad language. It's like, I don't know what to do with you. Readers care that you are really clear about what your book is going to be, how it's going to help the reader, and you get through the points. You know, you tell stories that are insightful and funny, but ultimately you're also helping them to some transformation or realization. That's what they really care about. So if you don't need to spend an extra 25,000 words telling them that, they'll be like, thank you. Got to the end of that book a little quicker and I appreciate it. So I think that's the main point. First draft, allow yourself full expansion. Second draft is, editing and revisions is when you go in and you cut, and you can put those cuts in a new document if you want. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for the hearts. Be clear, be bright, and be gone. I love that, Jess. That's awesome. Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna bounce, but thank y'all for hanging out. I appreciate it. Go do some writing or some mindset shift work if that's what you're working on. And we will talk very soon. Bye.